right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the third session of the Grassroots Nonprofit Boot Camp. Glad to see all of your faces. We have a few new people here. So if this is your first time here, can you raise your hand? 1, 2, 3. All right. Can you give us your name?
Wendi, Huntley, Connecting Kids to Meals.
All right. Wendy's going to be presenting for us today.
Jasmine Chandler, Hub Director, YMCA.
All right. Jasmine is with the YMCA, and she's also here with Tessa. Right. All right. Great deal. And
James Munn with Making a Difference, Northwest Ohio.
welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad to have our organizations all here. So as you know, we have 10 full organizations that are participating. All of the members were a part of the collaborating group that wrote the grant to the Toledo Community Foundation. So we just want to say thank you to the Toledo Community Foundation for supporting this opportunity. And our goal is one simple thing: to help us be better board members for the nonprofits that serve our community. And if we choose to do some other things in other areas, we have the knowledge we need to be excellent board members. So we're glad to have you here today. Today is session 3, and we're going to be talking about coordinating community programs. Our speaker for today is none other than Jenai Hicklin with New Leaf Group. And Jenai, provides our lunch every week. Thank you so much. And she is also huge in the homeless food security initiative in the city of Toledo. She has the ability to mobilize literally hundreds of volunteers to help her do what she does once a month. And then with her youth and women empowerment programs, even more volunteers. So Jenai was the perfect person to talk about not just food security, but connecting the community to do these works that we do. Now, all of our organizations work with youth in some sort of a way, right? And maybe we know or maybe we don't know about the food security issues in Toledo, but Jenai is going to give us some information about that. So when we talk about food security, why is that important, and why is it important to talk about feeding children? Because we're all touching them in a number of different ways. Our sports programs, our youth programs, the activities that we do. We work in schools with NSPDK. You guys are with students all the time. And so this is going to be a great day to hear new information. You'll say, oh, how does this relate exactly to the things I'm doing? Kids and food. Might not have any kids, but everybody eats, right? So we're going to find out a little bit about that food security space. We're going to find out a little bit about how we can get more people to volunteer and help us along our way. Jenai's going to give us some stories about that. Without any further ado, Jenai Hicklin.
All right. Good morning to everyone. I'm excited and nervous at the same time. So, I have been having conversation back and forth with our president, Miss Crystal Taylor, and she probably tired of me. Every week I share with her how excited I am about having these workshops, because I've been in business since 2015, but now I'm beginning to really feel like a real business. I've been doing ministry, but now I feel like a business. The way God has transposed New Leaf Group, it started off as one thing. When I was in the world of FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, I was working with kids with sports ministry. And once I left FCA, I thought that's what God was going to allow me to do and to continue on that road, because that was my wheelhouse, connecting sports with kids. Of course, feeding them. I was one of the ones that helped get the program started through Connecting Kids to Meals with feeding the football teams, because my son, picking him up, during two-a-days, watching kids sitting there not eating in 70, 80, and 90-degree weather. Me being who I am, what do? Feed them, and I'm going to be transparent. I took my food stamps and went and bought hot dogs, buns, cookies, the bag that just said cookies. Y'all will catch that when you get home. but it met the need, which was hunger. And so today we are going to be talking about coordinating community programs, but the bigger key to it is connecting the dots. We need to start connecting the things that we do and not remaining as islands like some people feel that they can do. So this is the other part that's exciting to me, is Miss Crystal is teaching me how to use all this kind of stuff. This is a new world for me. I am the person that was still doing booklets with cut and pasting on the computer. I would print it, cut and paste it, and make a booklet. I guarantee you it looked just as good as the one that you do, because I mastered it. But going into this world of technology, I feel somewhat liberated, because now I feel like I can reach more people because I'm connecting the dots. Technology to food, food to kids. People know now we do our food security on Facebook. I print every first of the month the menu of what I'm going to cook, and everybody in the community gives. That's social media. If I looked at social media as being totally bad, I would not have that opportunity to reach 100 to 150 people every month, feeding one meal. So, with that being said, and I will put a disclaimer out there, not for pity, but only information. You hear me breathing the way that I am, is because I'm a COVID survivor. I'm still dealing with the effects of COVID. So, with that being said, if you see me take a little deep breaths, you hear the rattling, don't get disturbed. I'm getting past it too. So, what do we call community? Now that's too much technology. Heavy. Yeah. I'm right. There. Oh, I'm gonna find the easy way. Yeah, I'm gonna find the easy way. Okay. Can you read that for me? Real loud. Use that church voice.
The term community refers to a unified body of individuals who share common interests, reside in a specific area, and often have a shared cultural or historical heritage. It can encompass various contexts, such as people living in the same locality, a group with similar cultural or religious characteristics, or even nations with common interests. In essence, a community represents a sense of belonging, mutual support, a connection among its members.
All right, give it up for the reader. What is community? We're a community sitting right here today. Crystal, with her mind and her heart and her spirit, has created a new community. A community of people that share the same vision when it comes to nonprofits. We have multiple veins, but we're the same blood flowing through. Community also is thinking and talking about common interest. What has become very confusing for me, but not enough for me not to change, words do matter. But if you're not solving the problem, changing the word does not matter. We've gone from the word food insecurity to food security, but we still have kids that's hungry. So they're insecure still. We're changing the word because we want to make these people feel better, because these people down here still are hungry. We've gone from calling them homeless to unhoused, couch surfing. They're still homeless. They still do not have a home. They still do not have an address. Common interest. Are we interested in the ones that are hungry? Are we interested in the ones that are unhoused? A group with similar cultural or religious characteristics. I try my best not to dive too far off into that, because that's a touchy kind of subject for me. I'm a PK. I'm a preacher's kid. I'm a pastor's kid. I have the heart that I have because my dad would literally give the shirt off of his back. Anyone that knows my father, which was Pastor Emeritus Elijah Hicklin, pastor to Macedonia for 35 years, my parents gave until they couldn't give anymore. My grandmother, Mary Murphy, who I literally feel that woman's spirit ingrained in me, because now in my own apartment complex, I have a bookcase that sits outside my door that I put food on, non-perishables, canned goods, macaroni elbow noodles, anything for people to have. I started doing that during the pandemic. Because guess what? Just because we have an apartment, you don't know what goes on behind that door once it's closed. You might have shelter, but you might not have heat. You might have shelter, but you might not have food. I was amazed at the bread and everything that flew off of that shelf within 2 to 3 days' time. I started that back in 2020. I'm still doing it. Why? Because there's still a need. Just because the pandemic is over doesn't mean we stop being hungry. There's a common interest. I'm sensitive to the religious characteristics because I do come from a background of where what we say and read in the word, where it says, take care of your folk, feed the hungry, clothe the naked, visit the sick. I take that literally. I cannot lay down at night, no night, without helping somebody. I don't feel like it's worth me closing my eyes. You got to know what you've been called to do. Act on it and walk in it. If you're in this room and you're not walking in what God has called you to do, you're not serving his people. If I can ask, raise your hand if you call yourself a Christian. Keep your hand up if you're walking in Christianity. Keep your hand up if you're living in it daily. See, sometimes we got to be honest with us. Some hand went up, some went. Just be honest. Because your community don't change. A community represents a sense of belonging. I joined Maumee Bay not because I needed somewhere to belong. I got plenty of places to belong. I joined Maumee Bay because I already loved over half of the women that were in Maumee Bay. And I wanted to see them a little more often. I wanted to be with them a little more often. I wanted to do some of the things that I saw them doing together. Community. Know what community you belong to. I have a special person here today. The smile is what gets me. She has been a rock for me when she probably doesn't even know it. We developed a friendship over almost 7 years now. Boy, time is really flying. There was a common denominator, and it was feeding kids, taking care of the hungry. This woman embodies everything that you want to know about loving people right where they are. That's what she does. And she taught me to do it even more efficiently. So I'm not going to hold you any longer. I want to introduce to you Miss Wendi Huntley, the ESQ Esquire, President and CEO of Connecting Kids to Meals, and she's going to talk to us about how we serve our youth through food. Give it up for Miss Wendi.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity. You go ahead. Thank you for the opportunity, Crystal and Jenai, to be here to just talk a little bit about Connecting Kids to Meals and what we do, how we fit into our community network and the food network support system overall. So I grew up here in Toledo, went to Ladyfield, which is gone now, and went to Notre Dame Academy, went to Bowling Green State University, and then went to the Ohio State University College of Law, and practiced in Columbus for about 26 years, and then returned here about 11 years ago. So don't add all that up. But I am probably as surprised as anyone to find myself back in Toledo. When I left, I said, I'll come back and visit my folks, but I ain't ever coming back here. But here I am, because God sent me back here to lead this organization. It's never been more clear than now, and was absolutely clear, especially through the pandemic, when our organization, like many of your organizations and many of organizations around our country and our world, faced this historic pandemic. So Connecting Kids to Meals is a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to making sure that kids have healthy meals at no cost. And we really focus on kids 18 and under that are located in low income, low to moderate income areas and underserved areas of our community and throughout Northwest Ohio. The organization has been in existence for about 20 years under the previous name of Feed Lucas County Children. I've been at the helm for 8 years. When I took over, we were building a new state-of-the-art kitchen in partnership with Cherry Street Mission Ministries. While we don't do the same things, our common denominator was feeding adults for Cherry Street, adult homeless population, and for us, our focus on kids. We're located in the old Maycomber High School building, and at the time, we were actually using the original Maycomber kitchen, which is about as big as this space where these tables are, to produce about 300,000 meals a year. So I saw the need when I came back here and was startled, because being in Columbus, I served about 5 years on staff at the ministry where I was. And we used to have a back to school event. And the event started with about 500 backpacks. And I saw that event as something that we could really do more with and reach more people. So we added community resources area. So our community partners would come in and share information. Came in and we gave away food. We gave away clothing. We just really tried to meet the community wherever we could. We ended up growing it to about 6,000 backpacks being given away. A full day of activities, including game trucks and all kinds of fun stuff for the kids. and it became the largest event throughout all of Central Ohio. But what I paid attention to were how many kids were dealing with food insecurity in the Columbus area. But when I returned here, guess what? Not the percentages, but the numbers were similar. That was startling to me. I said, what is going on in my hometown? And I came back. My father was ill at the time, so I ended up just providing some support to my mom and my sister, caring for my father. But I said, let me get involved. I have my own law firm. And I just said, let me get involved and do some things. Well, a part-time job in 2 months turned into a full-time job. And then in 2 months later, turned into me being the president and CEO of this organization. And so I just really embraced the opportunity and sought really spiritual guidance just as relates to what am I looking at and what are we doing and how can we be most effective? Long story short was, this organization was destined to be the food distribution outlet for all of Northwest Ohio, similar to Amazon. And I tell people all the time, and I invite you to come and visit us and take a tour of our facility and our state-of-the-art kitchen. It is much more than what you'll hear today. People always say, I heard you speak, but now that I'm here, it's like, I didn't expect this. So I invite you to visit us anytime. But what it is we are actually a logistics company. Because as you'll learn in a few minutes, we have to get the right number of meals to the right location on the right day, at the right time, at the right temperatures. So we have all these things that we're juggling. Why? Because we're operating federal child nutrition programs in order to make sure that kids have access to healthy meals. We're able to draw down some reimbursement dollars to help cover some of the costs of the food. And then we write for grants. I don't know why I keep always saying we, because it's me writing for grants. Right, me, myself, and I write for grants, ask for corporate contributions, seek out individual monetary donations, all of these things in order to cover that gap, which is about $1 per meal. So what we really have endeavored to do is to build up these programs. So we have two chief programs that we operate. One is happening right now, which is our after-school meal program that we're operating. We partner with our libraries. Thank you. We partner with our schools, our Boys and Girls Clubs, our YMCAs. We partner with everyone that wants to partner with us. And we have about 92 partners, and we're serving about 2,300 meals a day. That can get complicated, right? Very complicated. There's specific papers involved. We have to temp the food before we send it out from the kitchen. We have to train our partners so they know how to temp the food, record the information on our meal count sheets, return those sheets every day so we know how many meals are being served. All these things are happening every single day. Then we flip into our flagship program where we become the primary provider of meals to kids during the summer months. We actually are providing about 6,000 meals a day to about 150 partner locations across the region, mostly in Greater Toledo. But we do travel, most people don't know, out to Fremont, to Fostoria, to North Baltimore, to Bowling Green, to Wauseon, Swanton, and all the places in between. So this is a ministry. I had no idea. You know, folks were like, you are called to preach. And I was like, no, I'm not. But this is my ministry. God knew to place me here and to bring me back. But, you know, the work that we do is so incredibly fulfilling. You know, we have had the benefit of having partners provide grants to us so that we're able to expand our fleet. We now have 10 delivery vehicles, including a box truck, in order to make sure that we're delivering meals out to individuals. We've shifted and changed how we do what we do over the years. And now we have a bit of a system that really allows us to be efficient. And we have to be efficient because we fall under the jurisdiction of the Ohio Department of Education for our programs. And what the Ohio Department of Education does is they make sure that our menus meet all the nutrition requirements for USDA meals, make sure that we're actually aware of and in compliance with all the rules and regulations. In fact, we had an inspector from Columbus in just last week on an unannounced visit, visiting several of our sites. We also have to make sure that we have all the paperwork in order, because when they come, they want to see all these things, and they come during the programs, and then we have an audit that takes place for about 3 days after the programs have concluded. But that's not it. We also fall under the jurisdiction of the Ohio Department of Agriculture. And so they have an inspector that comes into our kitchen every day, almost every day, to watch how we're handling the food and to make sure that we're complying with all the food safety rules and regulations as well. So when kids receive these meals, know that we've gone through quite a bit to make sure that they are able to receive them. Do balls get dropped from time to time? Absolutely. When you're talking about thousands of meals every day. But my staff, I assure you, is committed to making sure that kids get what they need every day to fuel their minds, their bodies, and to be successful in life. We are actually the largest provider of meals during out of school time in all of Northwest Ohio, and the second largest in the entire state. So we are really, really proud of what we're doing. There's so much more still to be done, because our program, unlike food banks and food pantries, when you go to those places, you have to provide family name, income, zip codes, all this information, right? These programs have been created for kids to be kids. They've been created so kids can just show up at a site, come to the city pool in the summer months, go to the chess club after school, and make sure that they can get a meal. Come to the library as well. But what happens is we look at all of these components, and we have to make sure that we're actually balancing everything, because we are getting reimbursed, but the reality is we don't get reimbursed for every meal that we send. We get reimbursed for every meal that is served. So if the West Library gives us a request for 50 meals, and we send 50 meals, and they serve 35, guess what happens? We have to somehow absorb the cost for the 15 meals. So in the summertime, it becomes much more difficult, because when after school is happening, kids are enrolled in after school programs. But summertime, it becomes a little bit more daunting task, because we don't know who's showing up to the pools every day. Some kids come for 3 days straight, and then they don't. Some kids are in town for a month, and then they're sent down south with their grandparents. You just have so many factors that you have going on. But it's a challenging thing that we have to do, because when you talk about what happens at the food banks and the food pantries with all of the data collection, that doesn't happen for our organization, those partner sites. We have to make sure that they're qualified based on a different set of eligibility rules. We can only serve meals at or near a school that has 50% or greater of its kids that qualify for free and reduced meals during the school year. So if you're a school near you and you want to run a program at a school near you and they're only at 43%, we can't bring the program to you. And it's a travesty, because we've had instances where we've had Start and Bowser last year. Their coaches were calling complaining, why aren't my kids getting, the coaches were calling saying, why aren't my kids getting meals too? Scott's getting meals. Waite's getting meals. Woodward's getting meals. Why aren't we getting meals? You don't qualify. You're at 47%. There's nothing I can do. I want to bring you meals, but I can't bring you meals unless you can write us a check for a couple $100,000 the cost of the meals for the school year. That's the value of the program, is that we have the level of expertise at our organization to operate these programs and to complete the paperwork to make sure that kids have access to these meals. So what do we have in place for that? We actually have a weekend meal program. So our weekend meal program is really something that runs the entire year to complement our after school and our summer meal program. What we do is we have about 8 to 9 shelf-stable snacks that are in a bag. So on every Friday, we pass these bags out at a number of our sites, not every single site, but at a number of our sites, so that kids have healthier options over the weekends. But what that also helps us to do is, when some of these sites are either enrolling and there's a wait period until they're approved, we're able to share those meals with them. Or if we have these partner sites that don't qualify, we're able to share some of these meals with them from time to time. It can't be an ongoing thing, but at least we have some sort of way to make sure that they get access to some healthier snack items. So I don't want this to just be all about what we're doing. I want to make sure that I'm answering any of your questions that you may have about what you've heard or just about the food insecurity network that exists here, exists nationally, or whatever. So who has questions? Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Exactly. Yeah, and first of all, thank you for your comments. We really appreciate it. I will take that back to my staff and make sure that they know, because we survey our kids and our focus is on looking at this 3-week menu and making sure that we are incorporating as many healthy items that kids like as possible. But your question really raises a real challenge. So the federal programs that we're operating, they're designed in order to ensure that the meals for which they're providing reimbursement to us, they want to make sure that the kids are getting the meals. At some point in the past, they weren't sure if we were allowed to deliver meals to a home, for example. They weren't sure that the meals were being eaten by the kids. And that's why they created the programs, and that's why they require the kids to eat on site. Many of you may have had the experience or heard about the fact that during the pandemic, we were able to do grab and go meals. So you could drive through, right, in your car. You had your 3 kids in the back. We were like, how many meals you need? 3? But bam, bam, bam. We were able to make sure that you got meals every day. We were outside. When the pandemic started, we closed one day to prepare, one day, that Monday. Starting Tuesday, we were outside at all the libraries and some of our other locations ready to provide meals to families that we knew were in need because we have the expertise. But the reasoning why they have to eat on site is because the government wants to make sure that it's kids that are eating the meals. There is some conversation about delivering meals to kids at homes, but I'm doubtful that that's going to happen. So, yes. Yeah, so what we also are expanding is our ability to be in other places. So apartment complexes, we can be there in the community center. So if there are apartment complexes, we work with LMH, various neighborhoods. We're in their community centers, making sure that it's easy access, right? That's our goal. It's not about, oftentimes people talk about, what's a duplication of services? Because you got 3 service providers, 3 meal sites in one little, 2-block radius. Well, that's okay. Because guess what? One of them is a church that's feeding their youth that are used to coming to that church every Sunday and every Thursday for youth program. We're at the library, and then we're at another camp that someone is doing just for the summer to engage kids. Who cares if they're all in that area, but they all have individual relationships with the kids and those families. So we trust that in order to make sure that kids have access. So that's one of the reasons it's difficult. And I also always do a presentation to the Kinship Navigator, to folks that are engaged in the Kinship Navigator program with Area Office on Aging, so that our grandparents have an opportunity to know about the programs that we're offering throughout the entire year. So it's all about just sharing information, knowledge, and awareness, because we have 1 out of every 4 kids in Lucas County faces hunger. 1 out of every 4. 40% of our kids in the city of Toledo live in poverty. And based on data that we have, 83 of the 138 schools in Lucas County have 50% or more of their kids that qualify for free and reduced meals, meaning there are about 60,000 kids that qualify for free and reduced meals. Now, do each and every one of those kids stand in dire need? No, but 30,000 do. 30,000. We can easily determine about half of them are in need, and families are struggling. Because when kids go home to an empty house, it's not that parents are lazy. What we find is absolutely there are some of the parents that are lazy, right? They're not working, and they have no intention of working. 10%. The rest of the parents are struggling. They're working 2 jobs. They're underemployed, trying to keep the roof over their families' heads, pay the utilities, put the gas in the car, then maybe buy some groceries. That's the typical scenario. So when kids get out of school, if they don't go to some of the after school programs or the libraries, they're going home not just to an empty house, but to an empty refrigerator. And summertime makes it even worse because they're there all day long. And I don't know about you, but these little kids can eat. They can eat. So people that are challenging the work that we do say, well, isn't that the parents' problem? Isn't that the parents' responsibility? Yes, it is. And I'm not going to even deny that it is. But guess what? We still have kids that are hungry because parents are doing what they need to do to make it happen. And so if we can partner and make sure that these meals are easily accessible where the kids already are, why do you have an issue with that? Well, all the kids don't need the meals. That may be so. But we also don't want to create a stigma by having just the kids that need the meal show up and get the meal, and then the kids that don't need the meal can't get the meal because they don't qualify. We're not going to do that. We want all kids to just feel free to be able to go and socialize and enjoy the programming and get healthy meals. So I hope I answered that question. A lot more information. Yes.
So there's a lot of youth serving programs here. What is the process, or what is the likelihood in your capacity, if you will, to add additional sites for the things they do? And does it have to be in a building? Or multiple questions?
Keep track.
Capacity.
Yep.
To add.
Yep.
And process.
Perfect. Capacity to add, we always have the capacity to add because we're trying to make sure that we can reach all the kids wherever they are. The question of whether or not they're eligible to be added is the other question that we take an interested applicant through. So there's an enrollment process. If you visit our website, I gave you an information card. If you visit our website, there's an application form on there. You complete the application form, enrollment form, and that enrollment form then goes to our program coordinator, who will take it through the process to determine if you're eligible, if you're in a location that meets the criteria established by the program. If so, then we want to know a little bit more information. How many meals do you need? Blah, blah, blah. And then we work with you to try and fit you into our schedule. What we try to do is ask people to please come and pick up meals if you're able to, because we have a limited number of vans. They're running routes. We really are focusing those on larger sites, i.e. 50 or more meals going out, because it's more costly, but we'll have those meals ready. Absolutely, you come, pick those up, and you're able to take those back. The requirement is that you have to go through a mandatory training. We're asking you to have a server to serve the meals, because guess what? You have the relationship with the kids and the families. So they don't know my people. So where we're able to really bring partnership together, that's what we ask you to do, is to make sure that you have a server that can be trained. And then we take you through the process, figure out when you can start, how soon, all of those things. So during the after school meal program, we can add program partners every month, but you have to have your paperwork into us by the 20th of the previous month, right? So we're in February. It's not the 20th yet. You get your application enrollment information in, we're more likely than not able to start you in March. Other question?
Does the location have to be in a physical building, or like we have sports groups here and they do things in the field?
We already serve sports groups, so no, you
So
don't have to be.
You guys all get it?
Yeah, most of all of our teams,
Okay.
like when they practice at the field, like Wilson Park,
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Louis Brown Park.
Yep.
At those parks, they feed the kids after, and they feed all the kids, and community kids that come and everything
Okay.
in the summertime.
Anybody here from the urban? You guys get it?
Absolutely. And so we have two different programs. So this is the sticky part of it. If you are a partner with us for after school, unfortunately, you still have to go through the application and enrollment process and all the training for the summer program. And then you go back through enrollment and training for the after school meal program for the next year. So it can be a little tedious, but we're looking at how we can streamline some of our trainings. And for those that have been with us for more than a couple of years and have not gone on our naughty list of not getting us the paperwork or having our monitors identify some things that need to be corrected, then we're looking at a shorter training period for those folks. But it's very simple, very straightforward. You just have any conversations with other folks that are already receiving meals. It is really an easy way for you not to have to pursue grant dollars to feed kids. And you can use those dollars to hire more people, buy more equipment, and improve the experience for the kids that are enrolled in your programs. Yes?
Is the paperwork still on triplicate paper, or is it digital?
It's on carbon copies still.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And I want to share, we had a contract with, I won't even name the company that ended up after we signed the contract to have some software built, went bankrupt. So we are looking at and evaluating some additional opportunities to try to move our program into, I'll just say, the 19th century. So yeah, so sorry, but we're looking at different fixes for it. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. So all I can do is apologize. Yes.
Would you talk about the people that you hire? Because I have some friends that work with you, but would you talk about that part of it too?
Absolutely, we love hiring folks. We are like the destination for folks that don't want to work a whole lot.
Yep.
Like if they want to work 2 to 4 hours a day, come see us. Come see us. We are like the destination. It's the funniest. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, you can work with us, apply. There's an application online for employment. You can come work with us a couple hours a day if you want to come and pack some meals. You want to actually go out and serve the meals for the kids. In fact, in some instances, you can leave from your house, go to the serve site, and then go back to your house. You don't ever even come down to the facility except for when we do the training. But there are plenty of opportunities for drivers, servers, monitors. We definitely need monitors. That's when you are somebody that has the red pen and you get to go out to the sites and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and help us to ensure that there's compliance taking place, because that's separate from what the state does. So the state will, again, do unannounced visits and come watch meal service from beginning to end. But we are required to have a set of monitors that go out and are able to provide some technical support. So if anybody in this room or anybody that they're looking to work, we hire about 50 to 60 people in the summer. So we have about 52, 55 people right now. And then we double in our size in the summer because of the additional meals that are going out.
Is that 18 years and older?
It's actually what we do. Yes, it's 18 and older, but we have a partnership. So we serve as a work site for the Harbor Summer Youth Employment Program. And so we're telling you, don't have them work with us, have them work with Harbor, because Harbor can pay them. And then they can come here. They can pick us as a work site. They can still come and do everything, but it's not coming out of my pocket. So, but you have kids that need service hours, have them call us. Oftentimes kids have service hours at school. Call us. They can come and get their hours with us, packing meals, helping to load and unload the vehicles, being in the kitchen, putting the milk in the coolers. We have all kinds of things, helping us with some paperwork. There are all kinds of areas of need. So please avail yourselves. If you're just looking for a nice little job to give you some pocket change, give me a call. Any other questions? I know I'm running close to my time. Yes.
I got kind of lost when you were talking about the 50% criteria
Yes.
in order for you to be in school. How does that work? How do you determine that percentage in community kids you serve? How do you use the schools, the area that the school is in?
Yes. So we look at and we get data from the state of Ohio and from the schools about their number of free and kids that qualify for free and reduced meals. And then that helps us to determine and when we apply for a site application, to be approved with ODE, we're able to say this is within a half a mile of Sherman, and Sherman Elementary is 100% free and reduced. So Sherman has a Boys and Girls Club. This is one of the tricky pieces. They have a Boys and Girls Club there, but not all of the students are enrolled and members of Boys and Girls. So we provide meals to Boys and Girls Club, but we're looking at, okay, we've got all these Boys and Girls Clubs around the community. We may need to have a server there, not for the Boys and Girls Club because they have a server, but we may need a server there as soon as the school bell rings to serve the other kids that are not transitioning over to Boys and Girls Club. So I'll give you a perfect example. At Sherman, for example, we may send 70 meals. There are 310, 12 kids there. So we're missing these other kids that we know, many of which stand in need. So we're looking at things like that as we take a deep dive. And as Jenai said, personally, she's still we're still recovering from COVID. We're still dealing with, shockingly, supply shortages. We lay our menu out and then we don't get the food that we order. And then we have to change our menu and go through all this, changing all the paperwork. It is a nightmare, but that's how we actually qualify the site, is at or near a school that has at least 50%. So if you're not at a school, but you're at a park near a school, then we will be looking at the nearest schools, free and reduced numbers. We only have a few pockets in the city of Toledo that don't qualify. Yes.
What time is your delivery time for that? I think that makes a big difference in some areas.
Sure. So I will leave that to my logistics manager. I'm just kidding. We actually have guidance. So 90 partner sites, for example, right now, they're all starting their programming. Some start at 2:45, some start at 3 o'clock, some start at 3:30. So depending upon what time they're doing their programming, then they tell us and we coordinate with them on mealtime. Then we back our way into delivery.
It'd be best if we could do 4:30.
Yep. If you said 4:30 is when you want to eat, then we go back and we start to calculate how many people do we have at 4:30. Can we, if you're picking up, you'll be able to come pick up at 3:45, get your meal so you have time to get back and set up. If you're on our delivery schedule, then we got to determine which schedule you're on and what time we may be able to deliver your meal. So
now what if you've only met 3 times a week?
that's fine. You can meet 1 day a week. We want to be there when you're doing whatever you're doing for kids. So it doesn't matter. Yes.
They also provide snacks. As soon as my kids come in, they get snacks. So they get snacks too. So you ain't gotta wait till dinner.
Yeah. So we have our breakfast, lunch, dinner. Breakfast and lunch and dinner. Lunch and dinner are basically the same meal, just depends on the timing. And then we have a snack. So absolutely, if we have enough time during the programming, so we have to have 2 hours in between the programming. If you have your kiddos for 3 hours, we can get them a snack at the beginning, and then we can make sure they get a hot meal, a complete meal during the rest of that programming about 2 hours later.
So all the meals are hot?
All of our meals, so we have a 3-week menu. All our meals are hot. That's what we pride ourselves on. In fact, during the pandemic, when we had the audacity, right, to match the schools and hand out sandwiches and cold meals, our people were like, that's not Connected Kids. Connected Kids Meals provides hot meal. within about 2 weeks, we were then providing hot meals and figuring out how to do that with an exorbitant cost, but we still ended up doing that. But yeah, we're able to actually provide breakfast, lunch, and snacks. And so we just have to be mindful of the requirements of enough time in between. So once you tell us what you're doing and what you want to do, we're able to tell you what the rules will allow us to do for you. Yep. Absolutely. Sorry. Yeah. So I love it. I love it. No, we have to, always operate from a place of fiscal responsibility because we are receiving grants, we're receiving federal dollars, we're also receiving state dollars and local dollars, and so we always have to make sure we're balancing all those things because again, our waste is something we're managing, but eventually we are hopeful that we'll get to a place, depending on what you're doing for your field trip, you may be able to get hot meals, but we've stuck with cold only because it just simplifies our production process because it adds a whole nother line of production to make sure it's right. Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Yep. If you're going down to Glass City, Metro Parks, and you're going to take the kids down there for a day, a play afternoon for 3 hours, we can make sure that you got meals for that. Yes. That's an excellent question. It's one that I hate answering because we are required by the federal program to discard all perishable items at the end of meal service. So this is why it's so critically important that our paperwork comes in every single day and we're able to make those adjustments because not just are we having to absorb it, but I'm not excited about the fact that we have to discard of all those extra meals. So it's important, and I know I go and serve. I've had the experience of running out of food. Little 8-year-old came up happy as a lark until I told him that baby, I'm out of food. And his whole face shifted and it just broke my heart. So I don't want a server to ever experience that. So we make sure you have a few extra, but it's critically important for those 2 reasons. One, because we need to make sure that we're getting reimbursed for as many meals as possible, but secondarily, we have to get rid of those items. Yes.
So the items that are left, like the example you gave, 35, and there were 15 left, can any of those children take those meals home?
Yes. No. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got ahead of you. I wasn't practicing effective listening. You cannot take any of the meals home. You can take one banana or an apple, a raw fruit you can take from the site. But we actually tell folks you can't take anything from the site because we want to encourage the kids to eat. So what happens at a site on a fundamental basis, the kids will come through the line, they will receive their full complimentary of a meal. If they don't want anything, they're asked to place those items on what's called a share table. Then any kids can go get seconds from the share table, thirds from the share table, fourths from the share. They can get whatever they want from the share table. So that's how we try to manage some of those extra items that we have. So the answer to that is what we try to do is use the share table to have them get those items there, and then close to the end of the serve time, instead of throwing away, cheeseburger sliders, we advise our servers, make sure if any kids want seconds that we don't count them because we can't unless, if they get a whole meal, then they can get counted. But if we just have an abundance of cheeseburger sliders left, they can take whatever they need. We want them to eat. We want people to eat. We want kids to eat the food. We don't want to throw it away. But we also want to be financially responsible where we're able to get them to take a full meal. Then we can legitimately request a reimbursement for that.
The age range is 18?
And under, 18 and under, school age kids. Are they still in school? Yep, they're good. If they're at the school and they're eating or they're look 19 or 18, I tell my servers, I attend server training every year. We are not the food police. Right. I'm not giving you a badge to be the food police. If a 25-year-old comes up looking like they're 17, you don't know they're 25, but you're like, I don't think this person is 18. Please show them the sign. This is for 18-year-olds and under. So this is what these meals are for. If they say, okay, I want a meal, give them the meal. I'm not trying to have anybody get hurt. We ain't gonna have that going on. We're not chasing people. I've had servers who have taken this so seriously that they will chase people down. You can't take them. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Let them have a meal. If they're hungry and they need a meal, make sure they get a meal. Absolutely. Any other questions for me before I can wrap up? Thank you for the additional time. Yes.
One little, so y'all have an established menu. Is there ever opportunity to select a menu?
You can talk with me and my operations manager about some suggestions for some menu items. We do tend to build our menus 2 months ahead of time so that we're actually prepared. And then we have, again, our assignments and so forth. But we're always wanting feedback, and we do send out surveys to try and find out, hey, are there foods that you guys, think that the kids would like to see? All that stuff. Now, whether we can get it at a reasonable cost and whether or not it meets the nutrition requirements or not, that's a whole other story. But we're looking to be a little bit creative this year in the fall with some vegetarian options and all kinds of fun stuff. Yeah, we're in the process of investigating that with our largest provider. So we purchase the food and then prepare it, serve it, and so forth, do the paperwork and get reimbursed. So we purchase food from GFS, Gordon Food Service. So we work with them predominantly on options that they see happening across the country, because they provide meals across the country for schools and programs like ours. And so we're working with them on a vegetarian menu that we can not tell the kids about, but just implement.
Yeah, last question. Service hours, how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, for service hours, if you have someone that needs service hours, all you can do is give us a call, or you can go to our website, and there's actually something called Sign Up Genius to volunteer. And they can just complete that, pick a slot and a day and a task. So it may say, hey, then come in and help us load and unload meals on our vans for 2 hours from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. You can just sign up there. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. Your information is on the table. Thank you.
I'm one of those ones that has a red pen. I serve as a monitor for connecting kids to meals. And unfortunately, I can be a little anal. Yes, I can. But I'm that way because the way I serve people, I always look at it from the perspective of how would you like your food to be given to you?
Yes.
How would you like the atmosphere to be when you receive your food? How would you like the kitchen to look when you receive your food? It can look good out here on the table when you're serving it, but let's go back in the kitchen where you're bringing it from. So it has surprised me some of the things people will do in the kitchen. And it has also surprised me how some people render themselves to children. And they just, here. Is that how you want your kids to be served? Is that how you want your grandkids to be served? Kids in the line? One thing I found out, and working this job, have served on, I started out when it was Tony Siebenek. I was a cook in the kitchen for connecting kids to meals. It was called Feed Lucas County Children then. Started out in the kitchen. Then I moved up to a driver. I delivered to 6 sites, 6 football teams at the time. Then I left and came back and became a driver to other facilities. And then I went back to serving. You would be amazed once I became a monitor to see how people treated children. And one thing that I ask you to do throughout this presentation and throughout today, always remember that you do not know the trauma that a child has gone through in that day. I'm not talking about the day before, the week before, or what's to come. I'm talking about the trauma that they've experienced that day before they got to you. You'd be amazed. Then you'd be amazed at some of the trauma that some of the parents have gone through while they're bringing the kids. Everybody is suffering through something when they hit your line and your table. We just don't know what it is. So we'll get to that towards the end. How many of you all, by raising of hand, knew what connecting kids to meals was? How many of you all knew where a site location was for feeding? Okay, that's good. How many of you all are going to take advantage of this free food now? Yes. I look at it as a fact.
I may bring them, some days, my grandkids.
And trust me, as you can tell, I'm a product of connecting kids to meals. The food is good. Yeah, I like them days that we had them cooked hamburgers and cheeseburgers, and the Salisbury steak. Yeah, it'll bless your soul. We just need to get past how we present food to people, because it's all in the presentation. My grandmother told me that all the time. A lot of times people will eat food because of the way it looks, but then they'll eat it because of the way you serve it to them. If you get bad service, you don't care how good it looks. You don't want it. Because then your mind starts wondering, what have you done to my food? So, let's give it up for Miss Wendi again. Thank you. So we're gonna treat her like we do the church people. If you see her tip out, she has another event to go to with the kids today. So, yes, ma'am.
One thing real quick, I emailed everybody the presentation. So if you look at your email and you want to watch the presentation with some better eyes closer, you can look on your phone or look on your computer.
So, these couple of slides that we have here, I'm not going to go through all of them. You can read them at your convenience. These are just some facts and things regarding hunger and statistics for the United States and globally. But I did want to touch on the one at the top. Every day, more than 22,000 children die from hunger-related causes. One child every 5 seconds. That's a lot. And that's globally. Yes, sir, Dove. We have a world that does not care about wasting. We'll throw some away first before we figure out how to preserve it. I come from an era of a mom and a grandmother that whatever's left, you put it in the freezer. We had the freezer that was connected to the refrigerator, and then we had the deep freezer. And in the deep freezer, there was enough to make up about 6-7 different meals. After you got through digging through all of them, because you had to go, baby, what's this? Look like pork chops, mama. Well, I don't know. I ain't put no gravy with it. Well, it may be stewed in. We put it in the freezer. That's the thing.
Let me add one more thing.
Uh-huh.
I heard this statistic maybe 2 weeks ago, that we are at a critical point in our country. We have more credit card debt than ever before, because people are not necessarily living based upon what they can earn, but they're utilizing these other tools and the payday loan locations.
Yes, Lord. Yes.
Tools that are actually harming
Yes.
people as opposed to helping them.
Correct.
So that's another issue. And when we start talking about all these things coming to bear, we're not in a good place.
No, no, because how many times have you found yourself, and it's not a bad thing, where I am not in a position to say what you cannot do or not allowed to do with your money that you worked hard for. But the common sense of it all, if we go back to our roots, sitting at the table, fixing a meal that will last you 3 to 4 days versus going to spend that amount of money on a meal that's only going to last you for that moment. And half of it you're going to discard. So not only have you spent unnecessary money, you've wasted unnecessary money. And then you're hungry, what, 3 hours later? Ravaging through your refrigerator trying to figure out what to cook. And then you find yourself doing what? Oh, I'll just get in the car and go grab something. DoorDash, yeah. DoorDash and Grubhub and all that. You know, what are we doing to ourselves? So, in that, what is hunger? Now, this is the time that, you know, I needed to get that formality stuff out of the way. Now, you know, Jenai is getting ready to come out. Now y'all about to do some talking. What happens when you're hungry?
My stomach is growling.
Okay.
You get irritated,
Okay.
tired.
Okay then. Okay. What happens when you get hungry? Okay.
Whatever's in front of me.
Okay. Okay. Hangry. Okay. Okay.
I was looking for something to eat.
Okay. What happens when you get hungry?
I eat a lot of junk.
Okay.
Irritated.
Irritated. Shaky. Okay. Irritated. Brain dead. Okay. What happens when you get hungry?
Get a headache.
Okay.
Looking not great choices for food.
Okay. 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 What about you?
Stomach growl and I eat snacks.
Okay.
Whatever I can grab my hands on.
What happens when you get hungry? Irritated. Okay.
What about you?
What happens with me is I actually overeat.
Yeah, you know what? That's true.
I overeat when I get hungry because I'm a cooker and there's always something in my refrigerator. 2, 3 different meals. I just go to the refrigerator and just start pulling stuff. You know, I done learn how to master air fryer, y'all. God bless the air fryer. Oh, it's of God. Yes, it is. I can do a French fry without oil now. Yes. And then I try to make myself feel better. What do? I go to the bag of French fries and pick out the best 7 or 8 ones and put them in the fryer. They be about this long. Put them in the air fryer and eat that. And then that's to curb the hunger. Now let's start eating. Now I'm going to get a chicken patty. Put it in there, in the air fryer. And my brain says I'm eating healthy because it's in the air fryer. But I start eating and I never stop. So I'm eating, and then on top of the fact that I done got home late, we ain't gonna include that in the factor. I'm just getting home at 6 and 7 o'clock from all the meetings all day. We done snacked and ate granola bars, you know, all day. Okay. Hunger is a curious thing. At first, it is with you all the time, walking and sleeping in your dreams, and in your belly cries out in that word. And there's a gnawing and a pain as if your vitals were being devoured. Now, you know what you feel like as an adult.
Oh, wow.
What do you think it feels like for a kid? Now, let's layer that when it comes to the kid. Bobby, clean up your room. Bobby, watch your sister. Bobby, I told you. Larry, I want you. That's all them other layers that come with that child's hunger. Get your homework done. Why didn't you do what I asked you to do? Do you think a child is thinking about something to do when he or she is hungry? Do you think about anything? All them examples you just got through giving of what happens to you when you get hungry. And because you're the adult, you're able to do what? Just get up, go get what you want, feed yourself, cure what you're feeling, and then go do whatever else. Bobby or Larry or Susie can't do that. They have to wait on you. So as soon as they eat something, it almost burns itself off. And I'm just saying this to make a statement. That's why I have my grandkids on a system of eating. Soon as they hit my door, I give them a snack. Applesauce or muffins. That's the one of their favorite ones back there, them chocolate chip muffins. But I don't allow them to eat the whole bag. I give them 2 apiece. Just a curve. Then, 3 hours later, we're getting ready for lunch. They get either applesauce with the lunch as a snack or pudding. You layer the meal and it keeps them from being hungry. I control their portions. Whatever I put on that plate, that's all they're getting. They get 4 chicken nuggets, French fries, and a vegetable. Then we get dessert. I monitor that. But when you layer the food, it keeps them from getting hungry. Then we don't overeat. Food security. Access by all people at all times to enough food for an active, healthy life. What do you think happens to a person's way of thinking when they don't have access to food?
They become depressed.
Depressed. What else? You said what? They can't think. Come on, what else? Anxiety. What? Stress. Anger. Acting out.
Operating fear a lot. Scarcity mindset. You gotta draw all the stuff that's loaded up in your hand and take as much as you can get.
Start hoarding. I had foster kids that came to my house. First day they were there, they started, because my dad, he would bring bunches of donuts all the time. And the little boy, he took the donut and he hid them under the couch of the pillow. And I had to tell him, you don't do that, because you can go in the kitchen and get what you want when you want. But it took him a little bit to realize, okay, I don't have to keep it because it's always going to be here. Right.
Because his reality before he got to you was, I got to keep a hold of it because when I need it, I need to be able to access it at my will and time. Because if I leave it in the kitchen, it's not going to be there when I get it. Come on. The uncertainty of where you're going to lay your head. All that is encompassed of what we think about when it comes to hunger and the disparity of food security. What do you think? Where does your mind go when your refrigerator just gets low? You ain't got no milk. You don't have no eggs.
I'm stressing because I feel like my kids need it. I need to make sure that they have it to be there to eat in case they want it. I don't want my kids to go hungry. So I want to make sure that it is there. Not that I don't think I've ever gone hungry, but I don't want my kids to go hungry. That makes sense?
No, that makes a whole lot of sense. So then we add extra stress to ourselves of trying to make sure that we never get to that part or to that level. Okay, this is being filmed, so I'm out here. I'm going to be out here. Sometimes we need to allow them to experience some of that so they will appreciate. I'm not talking about hunger to the point of where it's at a starvation, but my grandkids know what it is to serve the homeless because I take them out with me. People say, well, they too young. They shouldn't be out there with you. It's dangerous. I said, it's dangerous sitting next to you. I don't know you. How many of these people have we thought that we knew that have done all these shootings and stabbings that we looked at them and say, they did that? Yeah. You look like a nice person and you just got through stabbing 2-3 people and now they chasing after you all across the country. That does not matter. You need to allow yourself to be placed in somebody else's shoes for you to truly appreciate where they are. My grandkids are not even allowed, and I know some of y'all know understand this. My grandkids are not allowed in my refrigerator without asking me. Nene, can we get the pudding out? Yes, ma'am. Nene, can I go back and get my water that I had? Yes, sir. This does not belong to you, but it's accessible to you. How many people have you seen laying around in the city of Toledo and they're clutching bags? Majority of the time, and one of the that's all they got. I actually talk to the homeless people when I serve them, have conversations with them. And they have said to me, nobody talks to us as much as you do. How have we gotten to that kind of society? That we won't talk to somebody based on where they're laying or based on how they look? How have we allowed ourselves to get to that point? But then we say we're Christians.
Now that's it. That's it right there.
And I struggle with that because this is the world that we are allowing ourselves to create. Yes, ma'am.
You know, something I try to do on, purpose is I try to speak to young Black men.
Come on, why is that?
Because when my son turned 13, he began to tell me how people treated him differently. We was in the military, so he had a friend, and he had always been his friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we was transferring from Hawaii, to Guam, his friend was coming to Guam too.
Okay.
Well, my son had grown to be like 6'2". His friend really hadn't grown,
Oh,
and
wow.
his friend was a little white boy, but they were always friends though, right?
Okay.
So when my son showed up, and I was like, what happened? And my son said to me, he said, Mama, he don't see me as his friend now. Now he see me as a Black man, and he's afraid of me now.
Mama.
And so I make it a habit to just say hello to young Black men, just to say hi, just say, well, how you doing today? So that's what I make it a habit to speak to young Black men. Even if I don't know them, I just speak to them. I just say, how you doing?
Do you know I find it rare and it tickles me, but it also angers me now how more people now they even have a problem with you speaking to them now.
Yeah, they do.
I have had more people when you walk by there. Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning. How you doing? What? They like get confused. Like you wasn't supposed to say nothing to them.
I
What? Say that again.
Oh.
Wow.
Also think COVID had a big impact on us as social skills and stuff. I'll put it this way: my dog, who was a puppy, was a great puppy.
Okay.
And then COVID hit. 2-3 years of just being around just us.
Uh-huh.
Now, when other people want to come around, this dog wants to be protective to the point where she's aggressive.
Wow.
So now we have to put her in a kennel, where she can see everybody when people come over, because she wants to growl and bare teeth at people. And she has nipped at people. She's even nipped my granddaughter.
So connecting all of the dots of this, humans, animals, we have to allow ourselves to get out of that realm of not being connected.
Right.
The dots are being connected for us automatically through the communities that we serve in, just from the people in this room. How can we help who we affect to do better? I want you to think about that. How can we affect the people that we touch to do better?
We lead by example.
Okay, that's one. That's one. There's a worksheet that I'm sorry. They got that one? Okay, on your tables should be a worksheet. They might not have that one. Oh, yeah. No, that's fine. That's fine. So this lesson is designed to discuss the definition of hunger and food security and illustrate the through reading and discussion. It's in the presentation. You'll be fine. We want to become aware of the problem and experiences of hunger, be able to define hunger, be able to define food security, discuss and witness the experience of hunger through quotations and stories. So what I want you to do is we're going to couple it with this sheet. That's why I got myself a little confused. This sheet here, you have the top. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. This table here. So the three of you all are just going to come sit in front of these three people just for right now. 1, 2, 3. This section right here, you guys are going to be together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The three of you all with these three right here.
Okay.
Right here. I'm sorry. Y'all forgive me. Brain is a little short. Each group is filling out all 3 sections. So each group is coming up with 3 meals. That's it.
Lunch, dinner, or what?
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay. So instead of group 1, it should be meal 1, meal 2, meal 3. That's what it should have been.
Yes.
Okay.
But this is still group 1, group 2, group 3, and you're coming up with 3 meals: breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay.
You're going to distribute this meal to the unhoused population. So you're thinking about what staples you should put in the bag, what shelf items you can use, what are non-perishable.
These are hot meals, right?
Yes, these are hot meals. Because remember, they have nowhere to cook them. You got to think about. No. This is a meal that you're actually distributing out to people on the street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got it now.
We're cooking the meal.
Okay.
We're past Lord Jesus, the offense. Lord have mercy. Might as well put some cabbage down there. So there are two things. Yeah, because our Caucasian cousins eat them now. That's why they went up. So there's two things that I'm going to be looking for, and I'm going to see which group gets it. Nope. Yeah, remember they don't have nowhere to cook it. What will stay hot? What will stay warm? What kind of containers are you going to put it in? The whole 9 yards. Are you going to use bags? What kind of bags? And don't forget to put how many each meal is going to serve. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. That's what you all are doing right now. You're starting to do the work that I do every month. So now you will not be able to say you don't know how to feed people. But the question is, will you actually go out and do it? So that's from Mr. Walt Disney himself. Who is hungry? It says the first myth, some people assume that others are hungry because they are too lazy to work. Miss Wendi touched on that. And then the second myth, many people believe that most hungry people who participate in food assistance programs are homeless. I was not homeless, and I got food stamps every month. And guess what? I get them now because I'm on disability. That's why I get them. I need them. It's not that I just want them. I need them. I only work 6 hours a week at connecting kids to meals. Yes, ma'am. Correct. Correct. You have to have an address to receive those services. Now, children, poverty, neglect, lack of family resources and support causes them to suffer from food security. Senior citizens, poverty or limited finances, lack of transportation, inadequate social support, physical limitations, and chronic illness and medical bills is what causes them to fall into food security. Homeless, poverty, few resources, no facilities to store or cook food. That's part of the reason why we're doing this exercise, so you all can see how you can serve them without them having the adequate things that they need to cook their food. Then we have the acutely or chronically ill, physically challenged, substance abusers, unemployed, mentally challenged, undocumented immigrants, runaways, undereducated, and underemployed working poor. Those are all the other list of people that fall into food security realms. So, do you think these people are worth being served by you? Why? What? They're what? And need? Okay. We see a lot of things that people need, but we don't always assist them.
Well, when I think about it, just some of the, like the things that you put on there, it could easily be you in a car accident.
Exactly.
It could be, something could change it could help, and can change it right over. I mean, it could be from in a day.
I'm literally a walking billboard for that. On Wednesday, March 25th, at 9:20 something in the morning, I grasped my chest and something felt weird. I didn't know what it was. I knew COVID was circulating, but my brain did not say I had COVID. I just thought I felt bad. But then I felt bad enough to call the doctor. When I called my doctor, she immediately said, I don't like the way you sound. Head to the ER. I drove right to UTMC, parked in the lot, ain't think nothing of it, got out, walked on in like I've done before, got checked in. I had just checked myself for a fever before I went to the ER. No fever. Soon as I walked in and sat down in the man's chair, fever. 109.
Wow.
And I live right there off the airport to UTMC. But my brain didn't calculate. They took me in the room, did the little checkup. The male nurse, and I don't know why I remember him so much, but he said, her breathing is diminished. And I'm thinking, what does that mean? He said that. It wasn't but 10 minutes later before I saw my doctor standing outside the door, fully garmed, with the COVID gear on, and saying, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And I'm thinking, what you mean is what's going to be okay? The next thing I remember is the female nurse coming in saying, I have the medicine. Did you call your son? Yeah. Here he is. The other nurse snatched the phone out of my hand. She's talking to him. I'm watching her facial expression change. But I'm attending to this woman that's next to me saying, I have the medicine. The male nurse says, do it now. That's the last thing I remember. 15 days, I'm in a coma. When I came to, I had to learn how to walk all over again. I had to learn how to feed myself. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I had to become me all over. So my life changed from being up, moving, da-da-da. Jenai, stop going so much. Jenai, stop doing this. To this right here. Chronically ill and physically challenged. I had to physically become a disabled person and retire at 53. I did not expect that. My life has changed. And it happens in seconds, minutes. So if you ever think you're too good for food stamps or a check, get hungry. 30 ways to fight hunger and help your community. This information, I just want you to read over it for your own self. There's something that each one of us can do in our own communities to help combat that. But you first have to talk to the people in your community. Just because you live in maybe a gated community don't mean there ain't no folk out there that need help. Before we get to this part, I want to, who's the representative for Group 1? And it is so. So, if you could come forward and tell us what your menu is, and if you have your amounts that you have spent for your budget, please give us that as well. All right.
Okay. So we came up with our 3 meals. For breakfast, we're doing a egg McMuffin sandwich, homemade one. So we of course have to have the muffin. We have the eggs. We're doing sausage, and we have bananas for the fruit, and we have juice and water. So we're doing juice and water. No, water is going to be for all of our meals. So when we give the one price, we included that for every meal.
Okay.
Okay.
So are you giving them 3 waters or 1 water?
They're getting 1 water.
Okay.
And we're doing flavor pack.
Come on now.
With
yes, somebody got it.
And for our amount, we started with 50 people. Looking at the $600 and not knowing how much we would have to spend per meal, we didn't want to say what we could do. So we started with a number of people as 50.
Yes.
So for our breakfast, that is really going to cost us around $150. So there's a lot left in that package. So now that we know that, we can look at increasing how many people we serve. Okay. And if this is going to be something that's ongoing, if we say we take that up to 100 people, then we have only spent around $300. So we have it for our next week meal that we're going to do for the unhoused.
Okay.
Okay. For lunch, we decided to go with chili.
Okay.
And we have the ground beef, the beans, the diced tomatoes, the bowls. Their fruit is going to be an apple, again, water, flavor packet, and of course, oyster crackers. Everybody has to have that with their chili.
All right.
Okay. And
community crackers.
Right. And so our total cost for 50 people for lunch was $211. And again, we've already counted in our water. We counted in brown bags to put some of the things in that the people will need. We of course have our utensils. That's what I was looking for. We have our utensil pack, and we did a utensil pack that came $250 in a pack, and each one has a napkin, a spoon, fork, knife, and a salt and pepper pack. And that was 250 pieces for where is that at on here? For $24.
Each one of those
okay.
roasters.
So that was our lunch. Again, under budget. So we have, or we can now do 100 people and still be under budget and have some to carry forward if we need to.
160.
Then for dinner.
160 for that. One of those roasters. And it's about 40.
Okay. For dinner, we decided to go with Salisbury steak patties and gravy. So we, of course, went through Gordon's and picked out all of the things. So our meal is the Salisbury steak patty with gravy, mashed potatoes, and green beans. And then for dessert, pound cake, and again, and a dinner roll.
Okay.
Dinner roll included in that. Again, 50 people. This one, because the meal is different than the other two, we had to include the containers with the divider section so that things can stay separate. We've also included sandwich bags so we can wrap certain things like the English muffin sandwich for breakfast, and of course the dinner roll and the cake so that it's not getting moist with the gravy or the mashed potatoes. And that meal cost us just under $200. And so again, we have money left over and we can move from 50 to 100 people, and then we'll still have some to carry forward for our next meal.
So stay right there.
Okay.
So we want to add to the cost that she has right now because of the staple things that were not added. So what do you all think staple items mean?
Okay, so I know for one of the things that we didn't add is like our insulated bag that we have to take the food with, and I know it's on here somewhere. Okay, yes, we did 5 bags at $25, and that's a total of $150. So that would come off of. Oh, okay, it's padded. Okay.
Okay, so 150.
Yeah.
So you divide that by the cost of three meals.
Right.
That's averaging $50 per that you're adding to that.
Exactly.
Now your staple items, you're going to add to that bag, which we call a snack bag that goes with the hot meal.
Okay.
These are things that they can eat after they finish the meal.
Okay.
Trail mix, granola bars, applesauce.
Okay.
Those type of things.
Okay.
So that's going to drive each one of those prices up.
So it was good we had some left to take care of that.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Give it up for group one.
One other thing that we added, and it was Kimberly's suggestion, is that in each one of these bags is going to be an encouragement card. So we called the cost of index cards to be able to write an encouragement note, and it's going in each one of the bags for them.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, group 2. All right, come on up.
All right. I did mine a little bit different.
Okay.
Yours was great. Okay, for breakfast we are having our serving, I should say, sausage, eggs, and cheese sandwich. But we're doing it a little different. We're having the sausage, eggs, and cheese separate from the bread, so they can use the bread to make their sandwich, so it won't be soggy and stuff. So the bread will be in its own little baggie. And then fruit will be a banana plus milk, apple juice, and condiments to put on the bread.
Okay.
The little sandwich. That's the breakfast. Our lunch is.
So I'm gonna stop you right here, just so you'll understand the process of this. You said you're gonna put the sausage and the egg and the cheese in a separate bag.
Separate baggies. Yeah.
What happens to the cheese once it's melted?
The cheese goes separately. It won't be in.
It's gonna melt in the bag.
It won't go with the hot food. It won't go with the hot part of the food.
So you're going to keep that separate. So you're going to have 3 separate items. A bag that has a muffin in it.
Well, let me finish.
Okay.
Because we did everything a little bit separate.
Okay.
Okay. So in our budget, we included insulated bags.
Okay.
And then we're going to use recycled Walmart, Kroger, those grocery bags. To put all that bags inside that bag. Okay, you get what I'm saying? So our insulated bags, for 100 of them, will cost $82.
Okay.
So that leaves us with the budget of $1,718.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll break down our budget after.
Okay.
After that. So our lunch is spaghetti sauce with veggies, garlic bread, 2 slices of garlic bread, a green salad with Italian or ranch dressing, cookies, bottled water with water packets. And our dinner is 5 bean chili with onions, oyster crackers, cornbread, butter, lemonade, and applesauce. Included in all these meals are salt and pepper packets.
Okay.
Okay. So we broke down, we did our cost of everything. We took out the cost of bananas, 10 bananas per bunch, applesauce, our take-home containers for 100 of them were $22, and they're individual
packets, individual compartments, I should say.
Okay.
The bread, the milk, eggs, sausage, spaghetti, veggies, poultry. Our poultry comes pre-wrapped and it is individually wrapped and it includes napkins.
Okay.
Salad dressing and salad dressing cups. Now, our salad dressing cups can also go on to use for multiple days because there's 2,500 of them for $40.
Okay.
Same with some of our other items like our sandwich bags are 580 of them for $14. So sandwich bags we'll put in our separate things that are like cold that don't go in with the hot container stuff. Yeah.
Okay. But all of this is going in an insulated bag.
Just the hot stuff is going in the insulated bag. The other stuff will go into the Walmart bag, rubber bag, whatever bag we have to go with the insulated bag.
Okay. Okay. And what was your dinner?
Our dinner is the 5-bean chili with onions, oyster crackers, cornbread,
Gotcha.
butter, lemonade, applesauce. Cornbread they can save for later in the night as a snack.
Are you going to buy the cornbread or are you going to make the muffins?
We're making them.
Okay.
That's what I was
Mm-hmm. You can make them or either you can get them prepackaged. They have little cornbreads now.
Which
Yeah.
this has a surplus of $677.
Okay.
And do other things with.
All right. Give it up for group 2. All right. Come on, group 3. Y'all done left the people hungry. Got double for me.
All right.
Okay.
Well, first of all, thank you for this lesson. This is a lesson in budgeting, right? When we do grants, we gotta go down to the penny on the grant and stuff like that.
There you go.
This was a good exercise. For breakfast, we're gonna do a pancake, sausage, and egg, like a brown and serve, like it's in a container. So we'll cook all of those, and we're serving all 3 of our meals in these. We found bags that were insulated that we would give to them so they could use it later for $1 a unit. And so they'll get all 3 of their meals inside of this insulated thing, packaged separately. So the breakfast is in a little serving tray already with a film over it. We also purchased, out of all of our money, 3 large insulated bags so we could take all the hot things and either assemble the bags there so they would stay good and hot, or we would put them all in there. We had to test it and see if the lunches, the breakfast and all of those things could fit inside of that insulated bag.
Okay.
And stay hot all together. So we bought those just in case. So we're going to serve 120 people. Our breakfast came out to $5 a person, and that's with some cushion in there. It really was like $4.15, so we got about like $85 left we could roll around with if we needed it. So we got the pancake, sausage, egg. We had dry milk and the little bottles of water. And we would package the dry milk packages in the snack bags. We buy the little snack bags. We've got 200 of those for breakfast, and then we're gonna do another 200 for dinner or lunch, one of the 2. Then we got juice, and so we got the dry milk that they mix themselves, so it's not, halfway cold or halfway warm or whatever. And then the juices, we got 16 juices for $24. So we went ahead and splurged on the juice so they could have some juice. We also got little syrup, individual syrup packets. It was $22 for 100 counts, so we needed 2 of those, and we would have syrup for later. And then we also added in bananas. We went to Chiolinos and we got bananas right now. Our what did I say? $2.99 for a 10-pound box of bananas. 3 bananas to a pound. So that's a lot of bananas. So we needed 3 of those. So that was $9.
Okay.
So that's how we got to our number of how many we could serve with the little cushion in there. It was $5 a unit with the extra cushion. Divided over 600 divided by that came up to 120 people. So then that made it easier for us to do our dinner and lunch, knowing how much we were going to serve. So everybody did the same thing. We got the lunch. We said we would do turkey sloppy joes, a bag of chips, a banana, a hydration packet with another bottle of water. So they get these 2 waters there. We didn't put the water in for the dinner, so we got to add that, but we got a lot of money left over for dinner.
Okay.
We got buns, sloppy Joe mix, peanut butter, crackers. So that's kind of like the snack bag thing. But because we had money left over when we were so efficient on our turkey sloppy Joe, we doubled up on the meal and we added in double the turkey and double the chips. So we could also give them a walking taco. So they would also get a walking taco.
So now how are you going to store the meat for the walking taco?
We buy in containers, and then the containers are going inside. That's what we have to figure out. Could those containers also fit in the individual bag they got when we package it? Or do we put that in the big serving kit and then give that to them as they leave it? Because if they eat some of the snacks, or we put the snacks in a regular bag, they put all of their hot stuff in the serving bag. So we would have to figure that out once we got the bags.
You could just not mix the sloppy Joe mix up and put the sloppy Joe mix into a baggie. And they could actually separate the meat themselves
and make their own
the sloppy Joe mix if they want in the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So containers.
Okay.
So we have meal containers. For the other things, so we added in cheese and sour cream packets, and some more snack bags for the snacks and things with the peanut butter crackers and the snacks. But that came out to $588 at 120. We could feed 120 all of that food for $588. So we still have some money left over. We got to dinner and we got through it. Our Melody Adam up for
Okay.
Our dinner was chicken and rice, green beans, and some more fruit, some water, and we didn't put nothing else on there. So we didn't get super far. But what we was thinking is we could get 10 of those already done chickens, so we don't have to cook the chickens. Shred all of that up. That's at $5. That's at $5 a unit. We get 10 of those. That's $50 for chicken. We get a big, how much was that? 50-pound bag of rice and some cream of chicken soup. So that all together came to $126.
Okay.
$30. So the green beans was the large industrial cans was $6. So that was $5, and we need 6 of them. They serve 25 a piece. We got 120 people, so that was $30. Then we got some more containers. That was $40. And we got the $90 for the large bags. I just put that in there. That's $286. So our dinner is super cheap. We got like $300. We can fill them up on a whole bunch of snacks and put them in little snack bags, and then they can have all the rest for snacks. But that is 3 square meals and an extra meal of the sloppy Joe, the walk-in tacos, and a whole bunch of snacks.
Okay, give it up for group 3. So now, 2 things I want to tap into while we're on this part of the lesson. 2 things you want to always remember: preparing these type of meals, you do not want to serve pork. That's number 1. And you're careful on the type of beef that you serve. I use ground chuck, a little more expensive because it's leaner. But you're looking at turkey sausage versus pork sausage. You don't know who has the high blood pressure and all that good stuff. So we want to be as healthy as possible. Turkey sausage will change the cost of your menu. Then also, the group that got the first round of it was using the flavor packets. And then you all use the flavor packets. You buy those, that allows them to feel like they're having a drink that's sweet. It's a trick of the mind. Juices aren't really the best thing to do because a juice can spoil. So you buy water and then you give them different flavors. Give them an orange one, make them think they got orange juice. Give them a grape one, make them think they got grape juice. Then you have the other ones. I've even started doing the Skittle flavor ones. They like those. Because then it helps them feel like they're getting candy. Diabetic, but it's healthier. So, just to give you an example, I did 50 breakfast turkey sausage muffin, no egg, just the muffin, just the sausage. But my staples that are going in the bag, granola bar, an apple, trail mix, fruit snacks, water in the flavor packet. Then with lunch, we're doing a turkey sandwich. So no condiments. If you fix it and you put it within a warm bag, it basically creates its own condiment. If you do lettuce or if you do cheese. Granola bar, applesauce, trail mix, then that's when we bring in the chips. And then the water and the flavor packet. Dinner, baked chicken. Y'all got the chicken part, because Kroger's is my best friend now. They bake all my chicken. So we have baked chicken. Then I do cheese potatoes. When I tell you our Caucasian cousins are smarter than we think, they are. I make cheese potatoes now by getting the diced potatoes from Gordon's, rinse all the stuff off of it, dump it in that roaster, and I can put 4 cans in that roaster, and I get 1 can of nacho cheese mix and pour over it. I got cheese potatoes. Sprinkle a little garlic pepper, garlic salt pepper, and Italian seasoning. Bar none. Bar none. Green beans, same thing. I don't use any pork. I use olive oil. Pour it across it, add some butter, salt and pepper, seasoned salt, and I use chicken seasoned salt. That gives it its flavor, and then I use chicken base. You're done, but you have given them a healthy meal with the roll included. Then, for their dessert, I use pudding, chocolate or vanilla pudding, granola bar, trail mix, chips, water, and the flavor packet. Now, we found 100 insulated grocery bags at $2.04. So, splitting that, we are at $70 per meal that we need the bags for. The one thing that you're going to do with this, you're putting all these items inside a Ziploc bag, the gallon size. The reason why, and a homeless person told me this, the reason why they like getting their stuff in the Ziploc bag, because they can reuse those bags to protect their things when it rains or when it gets wet. So, the meal that you have for your dinner, when you use the to-go plate, you're actually going to put that inside those jumbo Ziploc bags. It also gives them a big bag to use, but it also, if anything spills out, it protects the rest of the meal. And it protects the bag. So give it up for yourselves for your group effort of making these meals. And I'm going to take that idea for that chicken and rice. You're going to see that near soon. Yeah. Lord have mercy. Okay. How does hunger affect us? What do you think hunger does to you if it does not get treated? Make sick? Okay. If hunger can't get treated, what do you think happens?
Worst case scenario, you can die.
Okay. All right. Faint, pass out. Not as productive. Malnutrition back here. Malnutrition. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Increase in violence. Okay, over here. Angry, frustrated. Okay. Okay. So why do we not treat these things better than what we are treating them when we know that these are the type of things that could be the offspring of being hungry? Yes. Mm.
We can answer your question,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't think about somebody who hasn't had having those emotions.
So let me ask you all, raise your hand if you're an educator. So for the educators, why is it such a hard thing for administration to understand what you all deal with when you see the disparity that a child is going through when it comes to hunger? Too far removed. Okay. What else? Any level. Junior high, elementary, high school. People within your building. When you go to that administrator and you say, hey, little Johnny keeps acting out. I kind of know little Johnny's family and I know what they're dealing with at home. Can I go get them some food or can I take them to the... Well, no, we don't have time to do that. You can't just point little Johnny out and take him away. You can't treat him special. But you want little Johnny to act right. Yes, you can. True. True. True.
You have teachers and you have administrators that have food closets in their offices. Yeah. You know, if Johnny get kicked out of class and you talking to him here, it's chew on this. You know, so that's not always the reason for their misbehavior.
No, not at all.
But when they know, when they need something, they know where they can come and get it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. That's it. 80%, and it's unfortunate, 80% of our children suffer from that to such a means that that's what we need to be asking them. First line defense, are you hungry?
So I'm thinking because I have a kindergarten student, and one day, like him and his sister was just acting up. I was like, "You hungry?" Yes. So I sat him down and ate a Pop Tart, and I noticed that in breakfast they be giving them stupid stuff. I'm like,
Yes.
why are you giving them a cheese stick for breakfast?
For breakfast.
Or even a Pop Tart. I feel like that's not enough. Like you giving them snacks for breakfast.
Exactly.
But it's not efficient.
No. No.
Like, where is the oatmeal or where is the hot cereal? Where is the bacon and eggs?
Yes.
Oh, at home.
Yeah, you're right.
I
Right.
feel like that will make even more of a difference.
Whenever you can't tell me as an administration that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, but then you don't want to help me serve that breakfast. Right. Like it doesn't make any sense. We understand that because that's how we were raised. We were raised with having a meal before we left the house. Or either if we did get to school, we had a meal at school, but it was a hearty breakfast. So just the understanding of that. Then these are some of the facts that you can read in your spare time. Uh-oh, I'm going too fast. Lastly, I would like to say you have a duty to your community, not to put people in front of them that have the potential of breaking the very people that you are serving, whom are already in a broken state. Remember, we are only a step away from being in their shoes. Choose people wisely. I'm going to each one of you all to ask you the question, how do you think you should choose a volunteer to help complete what you all just packaged together?
How would I choose a person?
How would you choose a person to help this team to develop these meals that you just got through doing?
With compassion.
Person with compassion.
That's really
Empathy, okay? How would you choose?
I would choose someone who has the same vision as I have.
Okay, same vision.
Sometimes people say, I'll come and help, but I only have about 30 minutes, and it takes more than that. So, you gotta have people who are available.
So do you see how long it took for you all just to plan 3 meals? So how much time do you think it's going to take to pack those meals? Then how much time is it going to take to deliver those meals? And then you should talk to the people when you're giving them a meal, just say, take this, go on. I had one person that went with me. They got out the car and they got ready to hand the meal to the person. The gentleman said, well, what's in the bag? She said to him, girl, was you there? She said, don't worry about it. You don't have to ask what's in the bag. It's free. And literally before I could catch myself, I turned to her and said, sweetheart, this will be your last time with me. And I went back to talking, and it stopped her in her tracks, and it bothered me because I'm thinking and saying to myself, how dare you? Like he's not human enough to want to have needs or wants or thoughts about what he desires.
He's already feeling.
Come on, because we don't know his story.
He's already feeling, that I'm getting a handout.
Thank you.
He's like trying to make a little communication, and then you go to the opposite end.
Straight off on the deep end.
She could have said, this is chicken noodle soup. She put her foot in this. You gonna enjoy it.
Some. But trust me, that was her last time with me. How would you choose your volunteers?
Someone who loves people.
Love people. How would you choose?
Servant spirit.
Servant spirit. How would you choose?
Somebody that I know is loyal, and I heard the other person say someone with the same vision as me, of course, for sure too.
Okay. How would you choose? Okay. Wow. Ooh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that one hit me in a different way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So not to say that harshly, but to just understand that we have to work on our team outside of our engagement. And she's speaking truth because I have to tell myself every third Saturday, Jenai, you can't cry while you're serving the meal. You got to wait till you get home. Because, the way I deal with some of them people, it literally grabs my soul. Some of the stories that I hear and some of the things that people say, and I'm not afforded the opportunity to break down in front of them right there. They need strength. So I have to keep myself together and wait till I get home and cry. How would you choose your volunteers?
Well, I like people that are workers numbers, number one. I don't want to goad you or call you twice or you didn't take notes.
Come on.
You didn't put it in your account. What time are we going again? You must not want to go. I just watch, I watch the whole process.
Yes.
So if you're not typically a worker,
Mm-hmm.
and I know I have to do something, I can ask you to do the small thing that might not gonna happen. So I can say that you participated. But when it comes to go out in the field, it's a different type of worker.
It
right?
is.
Talk to somebody.
It is.
Line up the lunches. I'm super sloppy, and I like the smorgasbord feed people. But I'm not good at packaging for quantities. I feed, so I know that's got to be a person like Marita, right? She'll portion out all the stuff. So the green is actually 24 servings because Crystal will give 3 servings to one person.
Yes, exactly.
The question is, what is it that you like to do?
God.
How well do you do it?
Yes.
You might like to do something, but maybe that's not your.
You ain't well.
Right. So,
You do it well.
Any number of things. So it's a lot of things to me that go into building a team.
Yes. Yes. And you have to be the type of leader that is okay with having those hard conversations of telling people, baby, this might not be your lane. Because when you're dealing with the life of somebody else and you don't know the road that they have traveled, the baby said it, and I don't mean that in a disrespect, but the baby said it, the healing that you have to have gone through before you start tapping into somebody else's brokenness. If it's going to trigger me, I don't need to be the one out there in the field serving the meal. I need to be just at your house packing the meal. Because that love is going to ooze. I don't let everybody in my house to come pack meals. And I had a lady get mad at me. Well, I said I wanted to help. I said, that right there is what I don't want in my house. Because you're going to bring that spirit and that energy, and it's going to dwell at my house, and I can't have that. And that same energy is going to end up in that bag. See, you got to have love that comes from the bag when you're giving the bag. When they feed meals over at Making a Difference, and they come get the meals, and I'm sitting there, hey, Kim Sugar, what's going on, sis? Hey, how you come to pick up your stuff today, bruh? It's sis doing all right at the time. And he just as happily coming to get them meals to serve them babies. And she coming to, sis, where I drop off the stuff at? All that gets permeated in them Cambros. Whatever you touch is what goes out. You got to pick your people wisely. This is not a service that you can play with.
Yes, amen.
When it comes to feeding and ministering folk. Jackie, how would you pick your people? Oh, you ain't got away? You ain't got away. Yeah.
I would have to say, what is motivating? What is their motive?
Okay, so when you say that, what would be a different type of motive that you would think they will possess? Where are you going with that?
Some people just to say, I did it, look at what I did. It's about me being able to tell everybody in this room what I did. So your motive.
Your motive.
My pet peeve is don't take pictures of people. I can't stand that. Don't take pictures of people.
Yeah.
Ask the person that is my pet peeve.
Yeah.
Put your camera down.
And see, we don't take pictures. I have a photographer that goes with us, and or I've trained my people on what to do and how to take the pictures.
Right.
We take the pictures where when they're handing the meal off, you see their hand, their arm, or their feet. We don't take pictures of face because you don't even have the opportunity to ask, do you mind if I take your picture? They could say yes today. Yeah. And guess what? I'm not being funny, but I'm being real. This same person The bipolarness in him comes out next week, and he sees his picture, and he says, hey, I didn't tell you could take my picture. And if you don't have something in writing, he can sue me. Period. You need to have writing.
If you
Because
use it for your,
if I publicize, yeah, they can. Unfortunately, we almost found out. We almost found out. And so that's when we start taking the hand and the feet. Yeah. How would you choose your volunteers?
I was, when you started asking, I was saying willingness, their willingness to be there and be there for the time. As they started talking, the baby. Yeah, you can't, that's part of it. If you're, I know you want to help, and I know you have the desire to help, but if you're hurting in that setting, you can't help this person, because if you're talking to this person and trying to find, well, I've been through this, and then you get to talking about you. So they're not here to hear about you.
Because it ain't about you right then.
Right. And then,
wow.
What you were saying. I can't remember exactly what you're saying, but what you were saying about
take your time. Being okay.
You have to make sure that you put the person in there, and they have to be willing to do that position. If they're not going to be willing to do that position and willing to be there on that time, you might have the desire to be there, and you really want to do it, but do you really know what it's going to take to do it?
Correct.
Do you really understand how many hours it's going to take to be there? Like we have a person who wants to help with our youth group, but do you really understand how much time it's going to be? And I know you really want to do it, but you have this responsibility too. Are you going to be able to do both at the same time?
Correct.
So their willingness to help.
Okay. How would you choose?
I wanted to have care and concern for others and strong social communication.
I like it. I like it.
A person that believes it's better to give than receive.
Okay. What about you?
Everything everybody else says.
Everything. Everything. Okay. 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 Okay, so the challenge, this is what I want you all to write down. This is going to be our closeout. And it's real simple. It's not as hard as you think, but it does take a little effort. Before you choose to throw away your leftovers, I want everybody to go to Dollar Tree and get a pack of those to-go containers. Before you choose to throw it out, package it up, heat it, and take it downtown to somebody. Any meals that you feel that you're done with and that your brain is in, we can throw that away. I'm done with that. If it's on that Wednesday that you're done with it, package what you have left. And if you need to, add something to it to make it a complete meal and disperse it downtown. Even if it's one meal. The one thing that I want you all to be able to come back and say when we come on March 9th, tell me how you felt and what you thought about on that drive from your house downtown. Yes, ma'am.
So back where I'm from, I was just telling them, this one lady, she came in the inner city and she set up an outside refrigerator. So they put this refrigerator outside this business, and it's just for that. Like if you have, like, say I made too many oxtails and cabbage and I got
Your spirit is the oxtail spirit, yes.
You write what it is, you write the date that you cooked it, you package it properly, and you go down and you put it in the refrigerator. And people go in there and they take out what they need. Like my kids,
Girl,
I buy like multi-pack chips and Gatorade.
if I could find a refrigerator to hook up.
So I take the Gatorade down there, I take the chips down there, and like whatever the kids didn't eat, I'm not gonna throw it away.
Right.
It's good stuff. I take it down there, I put it in the refrigerator.
Can I have a refrigerator for you? If I do you want it like a little mini fridge?
I sure do.
Okay. They asked this guy.
I'm putting it right out in my hallway.
Outlet or whatever outside. He said yeah, so they put the refrigerator up and take food down there. Wow.
Thank you for that nugget. That's major. Wow.
Somebody came out and painted the outside of it. It said free food. They put a little mirror on it.
Wow. And I should have taken a picture of my thing. I'll do that next time and I'll send it to Crystal so you all can see the cabinet, the cabinet that I have outside of my apartment. Wow.
You know how they have
Okay. Okay.
in some neighborhoods they built the box and they put the bricks.
Yes, yes.
I was talking to James about building one by our building.
Yes.
Putting food, canned goods and stuff in it for
that would be perfect. That would be perfect. Wow.
I would love to be down for that. You can like get a couple of refrigerators. I'm not from here, so I don't know the designated spots or the areas that need stuff like that, but I'm down for it.
Because, see, my biggest issue right now is, and I think Chris and I were talking about it, the Swainfield area has become a food desert since they took the Save-A-Lot out of that Monroe area. And we won't do what we need to do as the blacks in that community to fight to get something else put there. It won't come. Yeah.
So the fix is not a grocery store. That's not what business wise.
It ain't coming. We've had Kroger's there. We've had Save-A-Lot. And there was one more I think we had there. But I remember Kroger's and Save-A-Lot. Exactly. That's where we went. So I don't understand that. The other thing that I want to challenge you all to do is to find a family that you can sow food into. I have two families. One is a Lebanese family, and one is a Nigerian family. Whenever I get extra stuff or whenever I have leftover food, I pack it up, take it to both of those families. You always got a family that you can serve. Always. Canned goods, when y'all get them free hams and them free chickens and turkeys, go hand them to somebody else. Yes, babe.
So I work in the shelter. I work in the family house and the safety net. Safety net is for teens.
Mm-hmm.
We can't hardly hear you.
That's unusual.
Use that church voice. The church voice.
I work in the shelter. I work at family house mostly through the week. And I've connected with a few families. Like some families are kids, students I've had in the past, and I see them. There, we talk. I'm there for tutoring, but I do everything.
Right.
And tutoring.
Right.
I help you find houses. I help you find jobs. Help you get your GED, or just listen if you want to talk.
Mm-hmm.
But I have found that when they get out of the shelter, I've befriended with two families now that I still tutor. Well, both of them I still tutor their kids because we built that relationship.
Okay.
Outside, but that hunger is an issue
because
they don't have they got out enough to get out because they don't want to be there.
Yeah.
But still they need that support.
Yes.
So that is something I was looking like. I have to find other people with that same passion
Yes.
to help support them. Like, to me, that's like leaving them to reinvent that same wheel again. They're gonna be back there again
Back there.
because
Back
they
there.
robbing Peter to pay Paul.
That's right.
And they can't survive. So I just wanted to share. So if anyone else is interested or that's placed on your heart, because we're talking about hunger, that's what made me think about it.
Yes.
Like one, I'm about to go get my son right now because she doing his hair, but that's how she trying to meet those needs.
Correct.
In the middle, and that's something we got to think about. Toledo public schools has the highest Toledo got the highest population
Of poverty.
of homelessness.
Yes, and the homeless. Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
And it's,
They do.
It's real. Like,
it really is.
That in itself is another.
Right.
What I do is I'll help you support your family because I'm a and be honest with you, I'm a single person, and me and my crew, we don't cook.
All right.
I'm gonna be honest, we don't cook. Matter of fact, we looking for friends who cook so they can join our friends. But I'll help you with that.
All right. All right. We just want to say, because of our community, we at New Leaf Group, we say thank you for this opportunity to be able to share with you all and to love on you all on today in our meals that we prepared, not only just for you, but for our unhoused community. We say thank you for your time and your efforts today. Love you. Thank you.
Give it up again. Excellent programming once again for the Grassroots Boot Camp. So the thing here is, some people say, oh, what do that necessarily have to do with our program and being a better nonprofit? You just went through a budgeting session without working on a grant. So you know how y'all was on the phone looking for pricing for stuff? If you want to write a grant and you just coming off the top like, oh, we think that costs $350, you would never win the grant. And this was an hour and a half to do 3 meals. What if you had a $50,000 grant? That was $1,800. Right? If you got to spend $50,000, we just got finished with our City of Toledo grant for the summer program and had all these grandiose plans. And then we found out that the bus cost $15,000 because we're going for 5 days and we're going farther away. So we look at all the expenses and gave all these other organizations all of that, same as we did here. This is about how much money we can do. This about, and had to shift all of that back down. Like, we're definitely going to do this part of the program. So that means we got to cut something off of yours. Right? So this was an excellent experience, right? Excellent. All the, it's just a, I'm not going to cry in front of all of you guys. It is this type of work, doing together, building community, networking, finding other programs. We need a service to sell. We talked about that, this being a business. This is a service that's fundable. So we could sell and make money on one end, or we could sell it to a funder as a grant and say, we're going to do all of these things. We're going to meet all these things. We know that our school district got the most kids in the state that got XYZ. Yeah, you got a lot of people serving food. We're not always going to buy all the food. We can connect the kids to meals. And I'm going to be very honest. I had an issue with connecting kids to meals because I thought connecting kids to meals was the poverty lunch and the kids coming there and they got to get the brown thing. But what I learned about today, that makes things look very different. And when she said you can have all that money to pay your staff more, because we just put in like about $7,000 worth of food in a grant. And we could have had $7,000 more to pass out to the organizations that are helping. Right?
And Crystal, let me share this for the young lady right here. I only do 2 days a week for my program, books and basketball, Monday and Tuesday. Literally what she said. the money that I wrote into the grant for meals, I'm able to disperse it
Yeah.
to my staff.
Yeah.
Now I have staff.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm taking that meal money, because Connecting Kids to Meal is my resource for food and snacks.
Yeah. And snacks.
That's money.
It's money.
It's in-kind service, but it's money
Yeah.
that can be written into your grant.
Yep. So we had a couple of organizations in our grant, and I told them they're gonna have to fund their own snacks. I can't buy your snacks.
Exactly.
Because we gotta split up all these other costs, right? So it doesn't, I don't think people think sometimes, oh, we'll be talking about these topics here, but we selected these topics for a reason, and we are pure teaching, right? All the organizations that are leading get an opportunity to stand up here and deliver their stuff. Why? Because now you have led a process. So when it comes time to write another grant, oh, I was part of the Grassroots Bootcamp. I did a session on X, Y, and Z. We have the evaluations to show what that session looked like. So we're building systems here so that we can all level up and get that community closer to where it needs to be. We have a break. You have in your calendars a schedule. Everybody should have this in the front part of the thing. We're off until March the 9th. But you've had 3 sessions, and I have only gotten one person's information from the university. So you couldn't print it? Who else? You got one? Okay, I didn't see that email then. You did one? You sent it? You got the Yeah, send me the email. So, because what we want to do is go back to the Ohio Attorney General and say, this many people completed your program from our program. We need some of that money.
So just send the email that says you completed?
Yeah, you can send the email that says you completed, or you can send it. You might have to download it. It wouldn't let it download. Oh, you got to do so many. You finished them all? Yeah, you can screenshot it. You can take a picture of it with your phone. Yeah, she did all the modules. You did? Yeah, just if you have the email that says that, forward it to me. I'll take them at a time. It don't matter. Okay. No, they're not that long. That's what I'm saying. And you will get this information. Yeah, they don't take no time at all. So we have some options there. So please, ma'am, please, sir, help this organization build some resources in another space by directing people to something that's already existing. We don't have to recreate we didn't have to recreate the wheel on a feeding program today because we know somebody that's a master at it. And she taught us in one afternoon how to get down real quick, right? Do we all service people that have this situation? Yes, we do. Have we ever considered asking them how we could help them with that situation? Probably not, because we focused on our one service. But everybody's looking for a new vein, a new opportunity, another way to do something. So here you just had it today in one fell swoop. We do sports. Y'all got the feeding already attached there, but like that after school piece or helping out at the shelter. New Life is in the middle of a shelter run right now. We about to collect a whole bunch of stuff next week. But we didn't do the food part. And we're looking for a food opportunity. So this was a great space. Yes.
I mean, working in the shelter, I talk with the residents. I talk with them, like, knowing, because like Ms. Hicklin said, they want what you would want.
Uh-huh.
They don't want to just eat hot dogs.
Right.
They still want like real food.
Yeah.
And that's something that has to be taken into consideration.
Yeah.
Like, they need activities, they need outlets.
Yeah.
It's because they're under so many restrictions living in the shelter that can sometimes add on just to, like the extra stress.
Yeah. Sure. So we have options. Jenai did not even give you the option to help her. If you look at Jenai's page on Facebook, every month she puts out one message on Facebook, or twice a month. It's twice a month. Once a month. She'll put the menu and the list, and people just start cash apping money. And so she has built through social media. You mentioned it at the beginning, kind of. but I would like to show them y'all that. Everybody look at Jenai's Facebook page. And it's Jenai Hicklin's personal page, right? Not a New Leaf Group business page. And see, every month, if you have even a ministry or an opportunity, or you need a service project for your kids that you're working with, or any of that stuff, let's come together and double up on somebody's efforts. I'm looking at New Life to duplicate what Jenai does with our team, which means New Leaf now has 200 meals a month instead of 100, right? Because we're looking for an opportunity to serve, but nobody don't want to lead it. Well, we got a leader right here. She just got to tell us what to do, and we'll get it done. That's what they're lacking. So all of these things are great opportunities. Our next meeting, March the 9th, we're doing organizational leadership. If you know Amelia Gibbon, you're in for a treat. If you don't know Amelia Gibbon, tell all your friends, except for the ones, only the ones that's registered. I'm just saying, you're going to have a great time. Don't tell our new people. We're full. Leadership requirements, pitfalls and best practices, cultivating leadership, and a few leadership case studies, right? We want to be the leaders in the organization, the nonprofit people, the board members. You are the leader of that organization. Even if you have an executive director, thought leadership is key. You cannot tell people just do whatever you want to do, and then when they don't do nothing, you fussing at them. Well, you didn't give them any leaders. They have nothing to follow. And so we're going to talk about a lot of the things that we mentioned today. That leadership piece, who's hurting? How are people responding? How do you pick the right individual? What does that look like? Amelia has a very easy way about her. Oh, name tag. Greta, you took your name tag off? Oh, you're going, okay, good. Okay. So yes, it's gonna be a great session. You got some time off, you got some homework, go back through your notes. If you were not on the list before, first week I just sent out a thing. Second week we had video, this week we have video. So if you do not have your packets from the first and second, please shoot me an email so that I can send you all of that stuff, because we have the full packets for every week. You missed the opportunity to be in the conversation, but you can get all of the content and the information, so that you'll be able to do that. Then on March the 16th, it's personal health and wellness. I will do some healing techniques, board and volunteer retreats. So we'll talk about some retreats and what those look like. Looking for a mental health person. My sister is a mental health person. And then, Milton. Okay. And then somatic movement. So we might do a couple little exercises. My other sister is in Chicago. She has I call her the body whisperer. She does these exercises and things while you don't sweat or nothing, but you completely worked out. So I'm gonna see if she can come in from Zoom and see if she'll give us something. If not, I know a couple people that do yoga and stuff like that here, so we could work on our own health and wellness, right? We're all exhausted. The year has started. We running. If you did your planning, you on the straight march, and you was like, I need a break. I need a vacation already. I'm tired. But we have to be healthy, because it's like Jenai said, we can't be sitting there crying and breaking down while we serving people that, you know what I'm saying, we supposed to be giving them the best that we got, but we in here not caring about our sleep patterns, not caring about, we can't do it all. We're not super people. They have taught African Americans to think that they can work the hardest, work the farthest, do the most. No, we can't. We just like everybody else. Take your end to sleep. What they've taught us to do is figure out that y'all could die early if we work you to death still. Right? And we falling for it like that's my badge of honor. I don't never take vacation. You a sucker. You don't take vacation. You know what I'm saying? Don't give nobody enough time, never. No time back. I need to owe you some time. I'm not gonna never give my time back. So just the way we operate and think. So those are our next two. Once we get to the end of February, because I tried at the beginning of February, it won't let me schedule the April things or the May things yet. It says 90 days out, and I guess it was April 20th, so I got to wait till February 21st. Marketing and communication, protecting the organization. That's going to be a great session. We have some individuals from insurance. So if you are running a business and you are not insured, then everybody on your board is in trouble when somebody come to sue them. Yep. Okay, so if you don't think about your organization as a business and cover all them people, let something come down stink. See what happened. Let somebody inside the organization steal your money and y'all in trouble. Now IRS coming for you. They coming for every single one of the people whose name is on the list. So we're gonna talk about that insurance piece.
And Ms. Cooper, I want you all to really know, I will probably just keep saying it until I get tired because I'm just so excited. Because of this group and the energy that's in here, I now have a website.
Hey, we're gonna hook people up,
because I want to be legit.
Yeah.
I want to be where we're supposed to be. So when they say where you at, I don't have to keep referring them back to my Facebook page now. But it was also because of the grant that Crystal pushed me to do. And the first thing they did was call back and say, "Oh, by the way, do you have a website?" It had just got finished that day. Okay. I said, "Oh, by the way, I do."
Yeah, here you go.
Yeah, here you
Check
go.
it out. Yeah. I was like, no problem. Here's your check. All right, here's your check. No problem. All right. It does. It matters.
It matters.
It does.
So thank you.
You're very welcome. May is all about money. Money May. Financial management 1, financial management 2. We're going to do some personal financial things with a product that I sell called Money Habitudes. It's a computer assessment. We're going to do some grant planning and different things like that. We're going to have somebody come in and talk about fundraising, talk about the software that you can use for your bookkeeping, right? If you doing 20, 30, 40,000, if you're doing 10,000, you need some type of a management system so you can calculate all of your stuff right. And then in June, we do a building the team, and then we have a celebration at the end, June 22nd, thinking about doing like a cabaret or a fun party type of situation, something like that. So we can say, with oxtails. We'll get oxtails for that if we got some money left over. You're trying to feed us all oxtails. So everybody have a great rest of the month. We'll see you back on March the 9th. Yeah, we should take a picture. We definitely should take a picture. Hey, it's your birthday. It's your birthday. Berdina, let's take a picture real quick. You gotta go? Okay.